Welcome to Whiskey's a Journey. My name is Peter Fassino. Today's Friday. I have another bottle battle coming at you. If you're not familiar with this segment, I have a whole bunch of samples paired up in my sample pool. I just randomly chose these two. They're stickered here on the bottom. I'm going to pour them. I'm going to nose them and taste them, give you some notes, give you my thoughts, and then I'm going to, I guess, tell you which one I like the most. Now, these could be anything. I'm a whiskey promiscuous channel, and I've got a bunch of Irish and bourbons and ryes and scotches, peated, non-peated, American whiskeys, American single malts, a whole bunch of stuff. I went through my entire collection and picked out some matchups that I thought would be interesting to do. So if you are new to the channel and you end up liking what I'm doing here, please do me a favor, subscribe to the channel. And if you're interested in supporting the channel in any way, I have a monthly giveaway happening. Read the rules that are in the description below and turn that bell notification on because I produce videos 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. All right, I'm going to go on my right. Actually, you know what? I'm going to start on my left. I think the last couple of times I started on my right. I'm going to start on my left, nose them, and as I taste them, I will flash the bottle up after the second time I taste them. Just I would like you guys to try to guess along with myself what it is that I'm drinking. Well, I guess I can throw that out the window because you saw the thumbnail. You already know what I'm drinking. All right. This has a little bit of a ABV burn to it, cinnamon spice, and a traditional bourbon note of vanilla, brown sugar, and caramel. Yeah, it smells really good. You had a little bit of a red apple note on that last nosing. Yeah, I really like the way this smells. I mean, looking at the colors also, the one on the right is very dark compared to the one on the left. And just sitting here having all of these vapors hit my face and my nose, they smell like bourbons. So let's go ahead and get on to glass number 2. Oh, wow. Glass number 2, I think, goes right along with how dark it is. This is rich. I mean, really dark, concentrated notes of brown sugar, caramel, vanilla, chocolate, tobacco, leather. This smells amazing. Absolutely amazing. I wouldn't say that there's any spice to it. And as far as what I'm getting on the nose, ABV-wise or proof-wise, yeah, I think they're pretty comparable. There's a tremendous amount of red apple coming out of glass number 1, the one on my left. But glass number 2, my mouth is absolutely salivating. This smells terrific. All right, let's go ahead and get glass number 1, the one on my left, on the palate. Cheers, everybody. All right, that is very good. That's pleasant. That red apple note is coming through. I get a lot of like bubblegum note as well. Strawberry, raspberry, just a berry metally, pretty oaky, and very sweet. Also, as I'm sitting here talking, that spice is building up on the back end. That is a really well-balanced, what I'm thinking is a bourbon. All those typical bourbon notes are there. Good amount of oak settling in underneath the tongue. If I had to pinpoint a spice, I mean, I would have to say Christmas spice. I don't think there's really a pepper or a ginger note that's being pushed through here. I think it's all on the cinnamon, black licorice without being over the top black licorice. Anise, allspice, just all around, just whatever you would think like a Christmas spice would be, it's there. And again, like I said, it's a pretty well-balanced sweetness along with that spice. And the lingering finish, that's good. I really enjoy that quite a bit. All right, let me get my notes down for glass number 1, and then I'll get a rinse of water and move on to glass number 2. All right, so writing all of those notes down and waiting for that finish to finish was probably a good 2.5 minutes. As I was writing, there was a lot that I was writing down, and this just lingered around more and more and more. So before I took my sip of water, I wanted to see how long that was actually going to go. That's really good. I enjoyed that. But I tell you what, I am really looking forward to getting this thing on the palate because it is just jumping out of the glass. Oh, it smells so incredibly good. Yeah, chocolate, tobacco, leather, rich concentrations of bourbon notes. Wow. All right. Cheers, everybody. Here we go. Well, that is chocolate-covered cherries. A weak tasting chocolate-covered cherries. That is a little bit, well, actually a lot, disappointed. What's coming out of the glass on the nose is not transferring to the palate. It's actually pretty weak. I would say that they're both in the same vein as far as the same amount of proof. Spectacular on the nose, and it's falling short on the palate. Let me get another sip on that. I don't know if it was just coming off of glass number 1 or not, but I was massively disappointed on the palate. Yeah, it's just a very liquidy, chocolate-covered cherry. Now, let me get a second sip on this one. All right, second sip's a little bit better, a little bit more intense. That chocolate-covered cherry is now escalating a little bit. Heavy on the cinnamon, really good oak presence as well, but it does not match the nose at all. It's still good, and I'm getting a lot of like a chocolate mocha coffee kind of note lingering around, like an espresso. Yeah, there's definitely coffee notes coming through. All right, this is developing into something a little bit better. That first sip kind of threw me. Maybe I just set my expectations way too high based on what it was smelling like on the nose. Yeah, now that this is lingering around a little bit, that's pretty good. I really do like those mocha coffee notes. That's interesting. And you know what? I don't think when I say those typical bourbon notes of vanilla, brown sugar, and caramel, I'm not really getting that much in this. This is turning more towards dark notes. Tobacco, leather, coffee, chocolate. Very low amount of spice. And the longer that I'm sitting here, it is getting to be a little bit drying, but not to the point where it's distracting me. That's still pretty good. The longer it's sitting here, the longer the finish is going, and the more that I'm liking it. But very deceiving from the nose to the palate. But it's creeping up there. The longer that this sits, the more it's starting to match those notes from the nose. All right, I'm going to write all those notes down. Again, let this sit a little while because the finish is still going. I'm going to write my notes. Once it calms down, I'll drink a little bit to clear my palate, and then I'll go back the other direction, and then I should have an idea of which one I like the most. All right, I'll be right back. Both of these are very similar in a way that they are shining on the finish. The initial notes on the palate were very flat. They were very underwhelming. The longer this sat in my mouth, the better it got without actually having a sip in my mouth, moving it around underneath the tongue, maybe, chewing on it a little bit. Once it's swallowed, this is where I believe glass number 2 shines. That finish just escalates. It hangs out. All of those dark mocha, chocolate, leather, tobacco notes linger around. They stick to the tongue. I like that quite a bit, but it's flat on the initial tasting. So I'm going to be curious to see how this reacts going back the other direction, tasting this, and then seeing if this has that same kind of finish as it did originally. Let me get some water, and then we'll move on to the second sip of both of these. All right, here we go. Second sip for glass number 2. Man, I'm really hoping that I'm getting a dark chocolate covered cherry, or like a really good dark chocolate covered cherry note instead of that flat flavor that I got originally. It really does. Now I'm getting maple syrup. This is confusing to me. Smells amazing. All right, second sip. A little bit more oak bitterness and bitey on that second sip. A little bit more drying, which is typical On my second sips on some of these, what I think are bourbons, I tend to get more oak presence on the second sip. But again, it's falling very thin on the palate. I'm not getting much, but right about now, things are starting to kick in, and the finish is amazing. Mocha, coffee, leather, tobacco, a little bit of bitterness drying, but it's not over the top. Yeah, this is very confusing. Very confusing. I have an idea of what it is because I think I've run into the same problem with this before. Amazing on the nose, disappointing on the palate. But holy cow, what this lacks on the palate, it is for sure making up on the finish. Yeah, that's good. The finish is good. All right, let's move on to glass number 1. All right, here we go. Glass number 1, if nothing else, is very consistent from the nose to the palate. I think it has a little bit more construction, or it's built better. I do get brown sugar, caramel, vanilla, those bourbon notes, along with some oak, some spice, red apple. I think it's more of a complete, more of a dynamic pour than glass number 2. But this is going to be tough because I have to fight through the nondescript notes on the palate to get to the finish on glass number 2, whereas glass number 1 seems to be very cohesive. It's consistent. It has more flavor. It's more dynamic all the way through. Overall, it's a better experience. And then on top of that, there is a really good finish on glass number 1 as well. I'm not getting a dark note, no dark notes here like glass number 2, but it's a good balance. Talking about glass number 1, but it is a good balance of sweet and spice, those Christmas spices, along with brown sugar, vanilla, and caramel. Yeah, just overall, it's a more well-balanced pour than glass number 2, which makes me think that I am leaning more towards glass number 1 than I am glass number 2. Absolutely love the finish on glass number 2 more than glass number 1, but overall experience and taste and everything else, I want to say glass number 1 wins this for me. All right, so let's go ahead and figure out what glass number 2 is. I think I already have an idea. I think this is going to be the Woodford Reserve, the double oak. I'm at the advantage here because I'm the person that put these samples together, and this has not done well in blinds before, but I've never had what this has on the finish. So what I am looking at, this is the Woodford Reserve double oak. It performed much better this time than it has in the past, solely because of the finish. And I have this matched up against the Barrell Double Barrel. So the Barrell Bourbon Double Barrel. This is well, let me go ahead and grab the bottles, but this is a double barrel matchup if you can't tell. I think there's something a little bit misleading with the double oak. I think it's their normal double oak, but they age it for a double amount of time. So instead of aging it for a year, they age it for 2 years. So they're calling it a double oak. And then the 5-year barrel, double barrel, is just a double barreled bourbon, which is a blend. And I think there's some pretty old stuff in here. So let me go grab the bottles and then refresh my memory, and I'll be right back. All right, I had to get the bottles, and I had to get my glasses because I can't see. So this Woodford Reserve double oak is 45.2% ABV. Oh my God, it pains me every time I say this. I paid $200 for this. And then the Barrel Foundation double barrel, aged 5 years, 100 proof. This bottle was given to me by Barrell, or sent to me by Barrell, but I do believe it's going for somewhere around like $55, $56. So the ages on here: Kentucky 8-year, Indiana 5, 6, and 9, Tennessee 8, and Maryland 5 and 6. I think overall Barrell does a really good job with their blending, and I think, I hate to say it, but I think this is probably one of my most disappointing overpriced bottles that I have in my collection. So Woodford Reserve Double Oak. Yeah. I mean, it performed a lot better this time than it has in the past. So hopefully the next time I have it, I think there's maybe 2 more matchups of this in my sample pool. So we'll see how it does. Let me know in the comments down below if you've had either one of these. Which one do you prefer? So I think that's where I'm going to leave it. Wherever you're at in your journey, I hope you're enjoying it. Until the next time, talk to everybody later. Bye.